tall on your feet. Later make up the difference. Toss and turn in your sleep. Family, I know you miss them. Tripped and rock from the streets. Starting to get the picture. Fight for your life to feed. Watch how you turn out winning. This shit just easy me. I pray to God.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Godly Potential YouTube channel. In this video, it's going to be answering another question in the question and answer series. This question is entitled, I cry way too easily when presented with stressful and upsetting situations. What should I do to become more emotionally stable to where I don't cry so easily over problems? My parents and my boyfriend have commented that I cry way too easily when it comes to stressful situations, such as having a serious argument over something. I've been working so hard to keep my tears back when I feel myself get hot, but they always end up piling up and pouring out. I wish I could understand why this happens. It's really annoying to try and have a serious talk about big issues only for me to become a big crying, sobbing mess. What steps should I take to be more emotionally mature? Okay. How to become more emotionally mature, how to gain emotional stability. That's basically the question. So, the things that I'm going to talk about based on my personal experiences and my viewpoint on this topic. So, I too was once emotional, like a very emotional kid growing up. Like I remember I would cry over the smallest things, get mad over the smallest things, like just emotionally just unbalanced. Right, imbalanced. So I'm going to talk about the things I did to overcome that. But I also would like to dive into the question, the specifics of the question, okay? So you stated that you've been working so hard to keep back the tears when you feel yourself get hot. They always end up piling up and pouring out. So the first thing I want to say is, it's good that you're letting out your emotion. You're expressing them. You are releasing these emotions instead of recycling them, okay? So continue to express your emotions. Never suppress it, because then it's just going to pile up more and more and more. And then eventually they will explode out, or you will implode inward, and you will destroy yourself if you don't express your emotions, okay? Now you ask why. It's really annoying to try. Okay, you said, I wish I understood why this happens. Okay. Now, it could be, if you're into astrology and zodiac signs, you could be a water sign. You could have a lot of water within your natal chart, which means that you deal with life through a more watery, emotional lens. Okay. I'm the same way. Like I said, I used to be really emotional, okay? But there's a gift in that, because when I look at being emotional, I look at it being sensitive, right? You have sensitivity, not only within yourself, but you also have sensitivity of others, so you can pick up on others' emotion. You may be an empath, you may be empathic, okay? So I look at that as being a sensitive being, like you can pick up on energies, okay? And it can become overwhelming if you don't know how to manage that. So those may be potential ways or reasons why that happens to you. Or in the past, things may have been happening. You weren't really getting attention until you began to cry and start sobbing. And then that granted you that attention that you needed. Because it's the same thing that infants and child and babies do, right? They will do all this stuff, then they develop pretty much, or rather, no, disregard what I just said when it comes to the kids and babies and stuff. Like babies, they will cry because that's really the only thing they can do. And it gets them attention, right? It calls the mother over, it calls the father over, it calls the guardian over, or whoever's around. It draws their attention in. And so crying for them gets shit done. But as you grow older, you begin to develop different ways of pretty much getting attention from others. But some of us, we continue to cry and sob because that gives us attention. Like I said, some people use other methods, right? They want to be depressed all the time, right? Because that's what gets them attention. But the important thing is, you want to look at, if that is the case, you want to look at what you're benefiting from crying and sobbing. Because you may think like, no, like I don't like crying, like who does? But if you look closely at what you actually get from crying, you may surprise yourself. Because if you look deep enough, it may be, well, yeah, I do get attention. I get support from others. People finally ask me how I'm feeling. If it's a tough situation, they will cut off the situation. I don't have to talk about it anymore. And whatever may come up for you, notice that. So if you're benefiting from it, realize that that is one of the reasons why you could be acting out in that way or behaving in that manner. Okay? So what else? You said it's really annoying to try to have a serious talk about big issues only for you to start becoming a big crying, sobbing mess. So like I previously said, you might be benefiting from it in some way. But also, the way that I got over this was, not only did I, because I was so sensitive, I experienced a lot of things the way others didn't, so it kind of hardened me in such a way. So now things in life happen and it doesn't really affect me emotionally as much. I don't know how old you are or whatever, but I feel like with time that will end up happening. Or the next thing is, because of that hardening as well as just the stuff I've been through and just my growth and development, I stopped taking things so seriously. It seems like you start sobbing and stuff when you're talking about serious issues because you become overwhelmed with the issue, right? If they say, I don't know, who knows, whatever the last time you cried about, whatever it was, if you look closely, you might notice that you took that situation a little too seriously. Because my opinion is, you shouldn't take anything that super seriously, because all it's doing is it's fucking up your mental health. Okay, there are things that are serious, but I don't think it should be that serious where you become overwhelmed, right, and crushed by that situation. Like for me, for instance, when I was in the military, I carried a gun every day to work, and I would deploy. We would be out in the Middle East, anything could happen. But I would see people just fucked up, just stressed out and all this shit. I'm like, look, I know it's kind of weird to say, but you're taking this shit a little too serious. I'm like, look, I know it's serious, but you're taking it a little too serious. There's a time to be serious. There's a time and place for that. But there is a such thing as being a little too serious. So, try not to take shit so serious, okay? Look at it as, it may be important, but it's not live or die. Okay. So what steps should I take to be more emotionally mature? So this process that I'm about to talk about, I actually got this from this life coach named Christine Hassler. She's dope. She's legit. But she mentioned these things we have in our brain called neural nets. Okay, neural nets within the brain is basically like these pathways within our brain that we have developed through pretty much repetition. Okay, so for example, let's say when you get into these situations, let's say stress enters the mind or the body or whatever, and the neural net is connected here. It's like a pathway, and this pathway leads to you crying and sobbing, right? You say it's a neural net, right? You can say the brain is like a house, right, in the middle of a field. And these neural nets are pretty much pathways to get to that house or get from that house, okay? Those past experiences have created these neural nets. So like I said, you get in such a stressful situation, it leads down this road, and that road results in you sobbing and crying and things. Let's say you was at the house and you drove down this path, and this path led to a pond, and that pond represented you crying and sobbing all the time, okay? What you must begin to do, what I would suggest, what I'd recommend, what I'd invite you to do, is to begin to develop new neural nets within the brain. So instead of you going down that path, when stress comes up, and you look at it, you look at the response that you typically go down, or that path you typically go down, and you just ask yourself, can I have a more empowering thought? Okay? And the answer is yes. And then you think, how can I express this a different way? Instead of sobbing and crying and trying to hold it in, can I go exercise? Can I express it in a more, compassionate way? Whatever, you gotta get creative with it. Whatever resonates with you, you're gonna get into that mindset. It's gonna be rough because, like I said, these neural nets are pathways. There's not a pathway yet for that, okay? So it's like you're driving from this house, but now you're driving on tall grass and brush and stuff, right? It hasn't been charted yet. So as you chart down it, it's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to steer it. The dirt might be soft and you might get stuck and you got to rev the engine, all this and that, right? If you keep doing it, you keep taking on that mind frame, or that you want to go down that pathway. When this comes up, what's going to happen is you're going to form that pathway. It's going to lead to a better outcome. And that pathway will eventually become like a road, okay, where it's easy to drive down. And that other one, eventually, the longer you leave it alone, the grass will begin to grow over there again, and it will be harder to go down that path. So I hope that it makes sense. Like I said, I got that from Christine Hassler. She's a life coach. They're called neural nets. That's the example she used about the house and the road. But that is what I would offer to you, as well as don't be ashamed. Like I said, when that emotion come up, don't be ashamed to express it. Okay, express it just in a more healthier way. Me, what I've learned in my experiences is that if you got fear, if you got basically any negative emotion, fear, anxiety, grief, or whatever, that is not really the time to communicate. It's really time to go within for a moment. Not saying suppress anything, you want to release it, but don't react in that instant, if that's possible. But you say you might get into arguments or whatever, talk about serious topics. So if you're in that serious topic, it calls for feedback. I get that. But if you can sit with it, observe the emotion, ride that wave, don't recycle it, don't suppress it, don't repress it. Well, you can't really control that. That's more subconscious. But yeah, just experience it, but don't let it overtake you, overwhelm you. But that's pretty much all I got. Also, remember, don't take things so seriously, if at all possible. So that's all I got. If this video was helpful, if you could leave me a thumbs up, share this video if you feel like it help others, subscribe if you haven't. If you got any questions, you can email me at mygodlypotential@gmail.com. You can leave in the comment section, whatever. Hit me up on Instagram. You can find me at Godly Potential on Instagram. Just really look in the description box. And yeah, I hope that it helps. But until next time.
Tall on your feet, later make up the difference. Toss and turn in your sleep. Family, I know you miss it. Shoot and rock from the streets. Starting to get the picture. Fight for your life to feed. Watch how you turn out winning. This shit just easy me. I pray to God.